So thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. Share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. Sharing the videos and liking the videos, it really does help the channel. So please, if you could, do that. I also do have a Patreon, link is in the description. Now let's get into this. So, last night we had Vergil Ortiz. He defeated Samuel Vargas in the 7th round. It was a TKO. Referee Jack Reese stopped the fight. Vergil Ortiz, man. I mean, as a prospect, in terms of like who I rate, who is up and coming in terms of like prospects, not just, you know, in the US, just across the world, Vergil Ortiz and Jordan Ennis, the two of them are number 1 and number 2. I always kind of go back and forth over which one I think is number 1 and which one I think is number 2. But Vergil Ortiz, I mean, the kid is just, you can see the potential, you can see the talent in him. When I watched him in this fight against Samuel Vargas, who is, okay, he's not a world beater, but he's given guys a tough night's work in the past, you know. I remember he dropped Amir Khan, although that's not exactly the hardest thing to do, but he had Amir Khan, you know, thinking in that fight. You know, he gave a spirited effort against Danny Garcia a couple of years back, so he's always been kind of in around, you know, fringe contender or something like that, you know, probably in around that kind of level, but tough. You know, he's shown himself to be quite tough, quite durable, and this fight was no different. He didn't go down, or at least he didn't get a knockdown called in this fight. I know in the 7th round he was stopped, he kind of fell towards the ground and brought Vergil Ortiz with him, and referee Jack Reese didn't call it a knockdown because it was kind of more a tackle, because as he was going down he just dragged Ortiz down with him. But if I go back and talk about the start of this fight, Ortiz came out just swinging, you know, lovely jabs, lovely hooks, beautiful uppercuts on the inside. The movement was just fantastic. I mean, the balance and the footwork that he has is just, when I watched it in this fight, it was a joy to watch, because you just see him pivot, you see him move, you see him turn Samuel Vargas, and you're just watching it, you're just thinking, Jesus. And this is a kid at 22 years old who can still improve. And I'm just thinking, Jesus, this kid has some serious potential. They were saying that he's very big at the weight. You know, Samuel Vargas said he wouldn't be surprised if Ortiz put on 20 pounds overnight. And again, he is only 22 years old, so you would imagine, moving forward, that his future probably won't be at 147 pounds. Although, if he can make that weight as long as he can, he'll definitely be successful at it, I've no doubt. But you would imagine that his future career probably would lie at 154, maybe even 160 pounds, as opposed to 147. But as long as he can make that weight and, you know, is comfy at that weight, at welterweight, he's going to be a problem for any welterweight out there. Like I said, the movement, the speed, the sharpness, the heavy-handedness of him. Because although he stopped Samuel Vargas on his feet, the shots that were getting through, so even in the 1st round, they'd so much pep on him and so much spite on him. They were just piercing Samuel Vargas' guard almost at will. And, you know, he had his hands up high, he had the earmuffs on, and the shots were just raining through. You know, that just shows the power. You know, Ortiz looked sharp. You know, he was leading with left hooks, you know, throwing little check hooks. And again, yeah, the sharpness was just there. It was apparent. He did get caught with a few uppercuts from Vargas here and there. He stayed in the pocket for a long time. There was times where he would stay in the pocket just a bit too long. He was using his head movement, but there was times where I thought he could have took a step back and maybe launched the counter attack as opposed to staying there, because that was when Vargas was on the ropes. He would get hit with the odd uppercut. There wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like he was, you know, walking into that shot every time, or he couldn't adjust. No, it was just that he was staying in the pocket too long, and Samuel Vargas just caught him with a couple of uppercuts, but nothing crazy. As I said, into the 7th round, he hurt Samuel. Samuel Vargas was hurt plenty of times in this fight, but in the 7th round he was hurt. He, as I said, he dragged Vergil Ortiz down, and when the referee, you know, caught him to a corner, you know, gave Samuel Vargas a bit of a warning for just pulling his opponent down, Ortiz went full-blown ham. You know, he went in there, he threw everything but the kitchen sink at him. I was quite surprised that the corner didn't stop the fight, because I think Jack Reese was giving Vargas every opportunity to keep going, even though he was getting hit with loads of shots, and he was getting hit with some sickening body shots. He was giving him every opportunity. I think he even said to the doctor, get up on the ringside at one stage. Corner of Vargas did not stop the fight, didn't look like stopping the fight, and with 15 seconds to go in the round, or 10 seconds I think to go, because we're hearing the clapper, he kind of thought, okay, Jack Reese probably just let him see the end of the fight, and I wouldn't have been surprised if the corner pulled him out after the 7th. But the punishment just became too much, and Jack Reese jumped in and stopped the fight just on the bell to end the 7th round. I think it was the correct decision, personally, because about 30 seconds to go in that 7th round, I was just like, they want to stop this. Because Vargas was game, you know, he wanted to keep going, he was tough, he was holding when he needed to, but he was taking a beating in there, and he was never going to win the fight. He was completely outclassed by Vergil Ortiz. Ortiz looked fantastic. It'd be interesting to see what he looks like moving forward. It'd be interesting to see who he fights moving forward, because I'm just thinking, I'm looking at some of the top guys at welterweight. Now, whether he fights any of them guys remains to be seen. Whether he's still in the welterweight division when he gets a chance to fight some of those guys remains to be seen. But I'm just looking at some of the things he does in the ring, such as just little things, just staying in the pocket too long. And I'm just thinking, you know, guys like Spence, guys like Danny Garcia, good counter puncher, especially Danny Garcia with the left hook. You don't really want to be doing that. You don't want to be staying in the pocket too long against someone who has good timing and good counter punching. But again, he's only 22 years old. He was in there against the guy who was tough, who was durable, but Vergil Ortiz always had his number. Vergil Ortiz was always in control. You got that impression that Ortiz, no matter what Vargas was doing, he was in control. He knew, I have this where I want it, I know what I'm doing, I'm in control. So yeah, it was a good performance. Vergil Ortiz, definitely one to watch. Very, very keen to see who he fights next. Now, your thoughts on this? We've obviously not seen much boxing the last few months, so these post-fight reviews have been very sporadic. But yeah, very happy with his performance. Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk.